I've shared over 400 sustainable swaps, habits, and much more that we can all potentially implement into our daily, weekly, or monthly lives. But what habits do I do on a weekly basis in summer? Especially now that I've moved across the world to a vastly different climate with different attitudes towards consumption and sustainability. In today's video, I want to share with you an updated version of the Zero Waste Habits videos I've made across my channel, covering spring and autumn, and go a little deeper into water consumption, food waste, and much more. So if you're new to this channel and you enjoy all things sustainability, learning new skills, recipes, and slow living, make sure to subscribe so that you never miss another video. I also want to say a big thank you to Rainpoint for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Okay, so I'm finding that I'm forgetting to water the garden maybe in the evenings. I remember in the mornings because it's like the first thing I do when I get up. But I'm going to build a irrigation system, I think, in some of the beds and the plants that are particularly thirsty, so that we can make sure that we're utilizing water in an efficient way and not wasting anything, and making sure that we're going for like a certain amount of time rather than just kind of guessing. I pretty much have everything that I need. I just need a couple of little tubes and things like that. But we're going to be using a really clever system, so I can't wait to show you. But first, I'm just going to pop out to get those things. And maybe some coffee too. To set up our irrigation system, I use some simple tubing with small connectors to allow the water to run through all 3 raised beds and a couple of the bags. The system is really simple but effective, but I definitely didn't get enough tubing, so I'll make some adjustments a little later. I then connected the tubing to the Rainpoint 2 Zone Wi-Fi water timer control, which has 2 modes, irrigation and mist. And then everything connects to the irrigation display hub in our kitchen, which allows us to have real-time data on the outdoor irrigation situation. Plus, there's an app that you can use which is incredibly handy and can actually control the timer outside. This would have been incredibly helpful when we were in Michigan for 3 weeks, so we could have ensured some of our plants didn't die. Good morning everyone. So last night we set up our new irrigation system. It is just before 7 a.m, so we're going to go and turn it on to see how well it works this morning. Obviously we turned it on last night, but it was very dark, so it was hard to see, and all the spiders were coming out, so I thought it was time to go to bed. There's also another irrigation system in the garden that's been set up by people who own this house, so I just need to connect that to the other side of the Rainpoint 2 Zone water timer. And then I'm also going to add this on, which is the flow meter, which basically shows how much water I'm actually using, so I can make sure there are no leaks, make sure I'm doing everything efficiently, and also save water and save money by definitely understanding how much water I'm actually using to water my garden. And then it also helps me to know what time is best to water it. Obviously the earlier the better. We just went for a little walk and people around our neighborhood are already watering their plants. They do it nice and early so that they actually get the most out of that water and the sun doesn't just evaporate it. The flow meters are super versatile and incredibly smart. They can be used in caravan filling to count the flow rate, in garden irrigation to count the water consumption, and at the end of a sprinkler head to check the water flow rate. The rules in Denver are very strict about when you can water, so it's really important that I keep on top of it and understand really how much water I'm using. If you're interested in learning more about Rainpoint and more about water saving, then please check out the link in the description.
Those oranges in a jar, for example, they're like a dried thing that's just for decoration, but like a Christmassy version of that would kind of smell like this.
It smells like one of those Yankee candles.
Oh, right.
Which is not a compliment. This year I'm saving seeds. I'm hoping this will save me a little money next year, as well as being able to be a little more self-sufficient. I've always been intimidated by the idea of saving seeds, which seems silly now that I understand how simple and straightforward it is. The marigolds really demonstrated this to me, and so I've been able to further my education in the garden simply by exploring, experimenting, and spending time out there. If I didn't save the seeds, I would simply put them in the compost, so it feels like a really great way to reuse something that the garden is already producing. The coriander also went to seed, and so we have some we can store away for next year or replant for a late herb garden. Growing my own food, no matter how small, has been one of my greatest teachers in sustainability. It helps me to understand water usage, the importance of sun and shade, how the seasons change, and what conditions plants need to thrive and produce. It's also taught me a huge amount about pollinators. As I walk around my neighborhood, it becomes immediately obvious which plants the bees love the most, and I've really taken this information and tried to replicate it in my own garden. I've allowed parts of the garden to grow wild to see what kinds of bugs it attracts, and I've never seen more spiders and grasshoppers in my life. I think there are at least 3 different kinds of grasshoppers hanging out there. Okay, so one thing I've been doing in summer as it's gotten incredibly hot here is making cold brew coffee instead. I like to do this because it means I have something delicious and cold. It also means I don't have to turn the oven on or like the hob on to heat up the water. And then I can use the coffee grounds afterwards because my worms love the coffee grounds. So it's a beautiful circular thing we have going on here. So I buy the beans. Actually, let me show you. Okay, so I'm part of the Huckleberry Roastery Coffee Club, which they basically put a sticker on the top of your jar and they cross it off and you pay for like 6 refills and you get 6 cups of coffee too. And you can go and you just refill the same jar, so you're not wasting any packaging at all. And then I grind these beans up to make my cold brew. But it's just a really nice way of getting something from a local roasters that also you can get unpackaged. And then it's also more affordable to do this way as well. And then you get it unpackaged, grind my own beans here so it's super fresh, put it in a jar and then put it in the fridge. I also use filtered water just because I want it to taste as nice as possible. And I've experimented with between 12 and 24-hour kind of brews. 12 is really good, but 24 obviously a lot better. It's just, it's so delicious. Let's make some. Seasonal eating. Of course, as the name suggests, this is a habit I try to stick to throughout the seasons. And so in summer, what I eat changes, and how I prepare for the next season does too. This year, I want to learn how to can, so that I can enjoy the summer foods I love throughout the winter. I'll also be pickling chilies, making a fermented hot sauce, and finding other ways to really prolong the joys of summer food. So my zero waste habit when it comes to seasonal food is to try and stick to the things that are currently in season and local to me where possible. I also try to think about what is available now. Learning how to preserve now will make it so much easier when the season is coming to an end and I can finally put those learnings into practice. Also in the summer, I do try to work on skills. That's why I've been doing this series, Skill Girl Summer, mostly in short form, but I'm trying to do it in long form, especially for Vlogust. I'm actually making a jumper right now, which the full video will be coming later this week, which is exciting. Even though it's summer, I am kind of preparing for winter because I know that a lot of clothes to make take a long time, but I'm working on knitting first and then crocheting and then sewing. So we'll be looking at sewing this week as well. I don't know why I think that I have more time in the summer because I spend a lot more time outside, but I guess I try to learn as much as possible during the summer. It feels like we have more time because there's more daylight. So I get up hours earlier than I usually do in the winter. And then I go to bed a lot later as well because we have so much more sun time. So I try to learn as many skills as possible. And I feel like this is a good zero waste habit, mainly because I think there's a really strong correlation with understanding how to mend things and grow things and be a bit more self-sufficient when it comes to fixing our stuff. I think there's a huge correlation between that and sustainability, because it gives us that attitude and desire to mend things and try and make things last as long as possible, rather than throwing things away or recycling them and then replacing them. Of course, there are many things that you can't simply repair. Some things are beyond repair, but I truly believe that there are a lot of things that we can mend, and those are things that I want to learn. So that's why I think it's a zero waste habit. I'm really excited to show you this jumper by the end of this week. I'm very excited to learn how to make my own clothes, because I think that's a whole journey in itself. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear all about your zero waste habits in summer in the comments as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did like the video, because we have a video coming every single day in August for a summer kind of vlogmas.